And welcome to Universal Journeys Radio with your host, Reverend Brenda L. Bates and Donnie Winter. Follow your heart, for only you know which path is right for you. Universal Journeys Radio is about how spirituality intersects nearly with every aspect of our lives, even when we do not seem to realize it or even see it. So, tonight's topic is Anything Goes. Our telephone number is 347-850-8292. Welcome, Donnie.
Hello, Brenda dear. How are you this evening?
I'm spectacular.
Oh, that is good. I'm feeling particularly spectacular myself.
Awesome. So, let's get right into the calls here and see what we got going on, because we do have a caller. All right. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
That was quick.
That was quick.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sharon, right? You are most welcome.
I have a question.
What can we do for you? Okay, perfect.
I do have a question. I have tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, I have a meeting, and it's going to be with 6 people. And I'm concerned that there's one person in particular I have to win over. And I know that for a fact. And I was wondering how you think it's going to go.
I think if you keep a cool head about yourself, that it's going to go very well. Because what normally happens in a situation like that is we get intimidated by the individual that we think is going to give us a little bit of an issue.
Okay, you're right. No, I know. I got that under control. I know what you're saying, though. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's an interview, sweetie. It's an interview. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that's okay. No matter if it's an interview or not. All right. You still, with that presentation. Now, are you doing the interviewing or are you being interviewed?
I'm being interviewed.
Okay. Just be yourself.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Because if you try to be anything but yourself, they'll see through it.
I always am, though. I know. No, I know what you mean.
I know. Yeah.
Do you think I have a good chance?
Yep. Absolutely.
If not,
what do you feel, Donnie?
If not, what, hon?
I was like, go
ahead.
What did you say?
If
I said,
don't
go ahead.
get this one, when do you feel me landing my permanent job that I'm looking for? I am contracting.
Okay. I feel you getting this job. I don't. Like I said, if you.
It's a great position, company.
Yes.
Go on.
Yes. I feel if you mind your P's and Q's like you normally do, okay, have the confidence that you do. Don't let them intimidate you, okay? Because when you start thinking a little bit of, I don't know about this, that's when you're going to mess
too
up.
much.
So go in there with
when
the
you
confidence.
start thinking too much. I know.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I know. I've been looking for 8 months. That's why you get discouraged. You know what I'm saying? I know.
Yeah. Just remember that you're the person with the talent walking in there to show off your own talent.
I know. It's a good point. Whew, okay. Anything else?
Just keep rocking and rolling, and that's basically what I'm getting. Like, keep rocking and rolling, and keep showing them what you have, and keep going. The other thing, too, that I'm getting is don't stop your learning. Keep learning. Keep going forward.
Mm-hmm. I know. That's part of the job I've always had, though. There's always training and licensing, renewals. Yeah, I know. But you're right.
Okay.
Knowledge is power. Knowledge is good. But you are absolutely right about that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Keep going. That's what I get. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
You're most welcome.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Okay, we have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, Donnie and Brenda, how's it going?
Great, how are you?
Good.
Be good. Got a question for you. It's not a good question. I got an interesting question to see what you think about. I watch these movies, and you always find out something spiritual. If you're awake, you can see the spiritual aspects in the movies, right? So I watched the Matrix a long time ago, and also just watched a movie just recently, actually yesterday, called Insurgent. And interesting at the last part of the movie, they both have the same type of ending, and it has to do with actually forgiveness. Insurgent, it was about forgiveness, and once the person stopped fighting with themselves, they almost like they cleared up a lot of things. Even the last episode of The Matrix is like that too. I'm not going to fight you anymore. Just do whatever, right? And it's interesting. They have the movies that are similar. So I just wondered, like, about that. I just wondered what your thoughts are about that. Why do they have? Well, why is it always like that in some sort of, like when you're trying to manifest something, or just you just giving up and something appears? You know, it's just like surrendering and letting things go with the flow. I just wonder what your thoughts about that.
You know, that's a very interesting question, because I've always believed that, like, every day in life, we're always trying to control some facet of life, of the environment around us, and we often feel weak against it. And I think the reason why this comes up in so many different movies and TV shows is because it's redefining that point that there's more power in giving up that desire to control than actually trying to control the situation. Because in giving up that control, we are demonstrating a type of trust that things will work out for the best. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. What do you think, Brenda?
Well, and I was thinking, too, is giving up and having faith is huge. And giving up, and the fear of giving up, because we feel that the only one that can do anything for us is us. Because that's basically what we're told. But when you give up and you forgive, okay, and you let go, because a lot of the things that we do in our lives, or we experience in our lives, is because we perpetrate them. So we can forgive other people and stuff like that, but the hardest thing is forgiving ourselves. So when we can forgive ourselves and let God be God to help us through, or source, or whatever you want to call the higher power, and let them have it, or him have it, the universe have it, then we get out of our own way. And then we go forward. So these movies are pretty awesome that depict these things. Like Interstellar. Interstellar was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but I loved it because it has so many deep, interesting things that we don't think about and that we take for granted, and yet it is on a different level ourselves who are doing these things, are trying to get messages to us, and also with our loved ones.
I feel like our society, especially today, views giving up as being a weakness. But movies like these movies in question demonstrate that inaction is an action of its own. And sometimes in life we don't realize that we don't always have to act on everything. Like, acting isn't always the answer. Sometimes not acting can be just as effective as acting.
What are your thoughts on it?
My thoughts on it, I'm just inquiring in question because it seems like it's sort of like, I think when we communicate with the universe or our hearts, or through our hearts, I feel that when we kind of like do the surrender thing, it's almost like it brings us to a state of peace where a lot of things happen. So if we're using our mind or ego to have a certain outcome a certain way, we interfere with the possibilities of the outcome, right? It's more like a invisible gift waiting to happen, but there's no time set, nothing like that. It's kind of like unknown, right? It's unknown gift giving from the universe, if you want to call it that too. So it just posed the question around. So because I'm in that philosophical or spiritual mood of inquiring right now. So just wonder what your thoughts are too when I talk to like-minded. Yeah.
Right, and again, giving, and it's really not giving up, it's allowing. You know, we have a play of words there, you know, like giving up, okay, but when you allow and you step out of that control, like Donnie mentioned earlier, you're allowing things to happen the way they're supposed to, the way they're supposed to unfold, because more things come into our being when we allow things to happen. Because when we allow, we don't have an expectation. It's the expectation of the outcome, I think, that stops us from receiving things the way that God has planned for us.
Right. I also believe that conscious, the distinguishing between the conscious idea of giving up versus allowing definitely contrasts as well, because if you just think that you're giving up, you kind of project yourself as, like, inwardly, you project a sense of weakness within yourself. But if you simply believe that you're allowing something to happen, then you believe that you're projecting out into the world that, you know, hey, go right ahead. This is perfectly okay. Go right ahead and do this, you know. And it's definitely a reflection of the person and how they view the situation.
Yep, I would have to say that. I would use allow versus giving up. So. Awesome.
That was a very good question.
You're very welcome.
That was.
Yeah, I just find also too that I just found forgiveness really plays a part in a lot of things too. When we get to a certain level in our spiritual, and that is the big Achilles heel in our spiritual growth. And we do everything else, but that is a hard one, I tell you.
It is, and there are many different ways that it can be a difficult journey with forgiveness, because we can, you know, it's easier for us to forgive others out there that do wrong to us, but when we do wrong to someone else, or we feel that we've done wrong to someone else, it's harder for us to forgive. There are things, I mean, even when you get onto the spiritual path itself, and you're supposed to be this all-inviting person who, you know, I mean, that's our persona. Not persona, but that's our, you know, the way we feel. But there are things sometimes that it has to come out the way it does in order for the other individual to receive that gift or that information, but yet it's unlike us, and we feel that we wronged them. We never forgive ourselves. We have a hard time forgiving ourselves. But that's a part of forgiveness too.
Definitely.
Is we have to forgive ourselves. Because we're human. We're human.
Definitely.
We're spirits in human bodies, and human bodies kind of take over every once in a while from the spirit within it, and it's that human nature that comes out, and we learn from those things. I mean, if you stop learning, guess what? There's nothing else to really live for. There's a couple things. You have to have goals. If you have goals, you keep going. You know, you keep your life going. If you know, lessons keep us going too, because the more we know, the better we become, and the more developed we become as well. So those are the two major things that we have to go through life, and we have to expect. And people come into our lives to give us lessons, as well as we come into other people's lives to give them lessons. And that's
definitely
it's a mirror.
Yeah, the testing never stops. That's one thing, you know, the testing never stops.
Never. Just when you think it does, guess what? Boom, you get it again. It's like, oh.
It becomes easier to cope with when a person expects you know, when they realize that this type of thing is cyclical. Like, I mean, I don't really believe that we ever conquer everything in life. Like, there's always going to be something that comes along and shows us something from a different perspective, and it's important for us to be able to assimilate to that new perspective and apply it in our own lives. And I think that's what the difficult part is usually, because people are they have an aversion to significant changes, and when a person pushes against those changes, that's when complications start to rise. That's when they feel like their life is falling apart.
Mhm. I have to agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, sweet. Cool. Any more questions?
No, just I don't know, just the movie that I watched yesterday was really interesting, so I just had a lot of things in it that I wanted to share, so.
Yeah. If you haven't watched Interstellar, watch Interstellar, because within the movie itself, it's a little slow at the beginning, but toward the end, it has some Seth speak material in it. It's really kind of nice. It's kind of neat. Makes your mind really, really think of the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would you like to go on hold so you can listen some more?
No, it's all right. So I'll be going to think. Well, thanks so much for your great conversation as usual. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You too. All right, we have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who are we talking to? Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Hi.
How are you?
Mm-hmm. Good. How are you? What's your name?
My name is Anthony.
Hi, Anthony. Love the name.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wanted to know,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you see for me for new love coming into my life?
The question I have for you first, okay, is, are you ready for a new love to come into your life? I mean, seriously, ready. Are there some things that you're still doubting? Because that's what it feels like. You're still doubting, like, oh, am I ready? Am I not ready? Do I have to accomplish this before I do that? Because with those questions answered, then I would say you have someone that's kind of on the outskirts right now, and it feels like, say, June, July time frame. Because I'm getting J's. Not January, but like the June, July time frame. It feels like there's someone's going to come around at that particular time. This individual has darker hair. Mm-hmm. Could be black or brunette. Actually brunette.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely serious. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm also getting the feeling that this person may be someone that you may not expect necessarily. Mm-hmm. So be open to that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely I would say that. Now, the other thing you have to be careful of is being overly needy, okay? Because being overly needy, people can feel that, and that will repel people instead of bringing people to you. You have to be whole and complete within yourself before someone is able to come in. I've had this conversation with Donnie before, so he knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes, definitely. And also the opposite as well. Don't be too avoidant. Like, always make sure that you have a good balance between the need to be with someone and the need to push people away.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Because, it's a delicate balance there. And when you get it, you get it. Now, I can explain a little bit about this, because when you're needy, that energy is in front of you and you're grasping at people and women or men or whatever it is that you are attracted to, because it's out there and you're like, oh, give me. But when you bring that energy back inside of you, you feel different and you're like, okay, okay, I can do this, you know. You still want someone to come into your life, but yet you also are okay with it. Just like when I did that, it felt for me like I brought your energy back inside of you and this coolness happened. Did you feel a change or shift right there about that time?
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
Okay. Okay, Anthony. That's cool. That's cool. You like people a little sassy, don't you?
Sassy?
Yeah, like sassy. Like,
no,
you know, maybe...
yeah, been there, done that. Don't like that kind of fun anymore. No.
Okay, but it still feels like you need a little bit of that to keep you going. And I say that because if you have someone that's, you know, like, oh, here we are, and it's going to get boring. That the relationship will get boring. So you need someone with a little bit of that, not a lot, but a little bit to keep you going. And you need to have that a little bit too. So don't just kind of like put that aside. You need that little bit of spark.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because I can see you doing a little bit of the salsa dance, like cha-cha-cha, you know, stuff like that. I don't know if you like to dance or not, but I can see that.
Right.
Do you write or draw or paint or artistic stuff? Because I see like your right hand doing a lot of either writing or drawing or painting or some artistic thing. Love letters, poetry. Do you do any of that?
I used to do all of that, but I haven't in about a year or two.
Okay. That was actually an outlet for you.
Right.
That's a beautiful outlet for you.
Mm-hmm.
So
why did you stop, just out of curiosity?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just I became busy with business and you know, just really focusing on that. Yeah, so, you know, just took a break from it for a minute.
Interesting.
Okay. It was more than a minute a year ago.
You know,
that's a minute for me because I've been doing it all my life, you know, so
okay.
That's just a minute for me.
And I've actually have gone through something similar because like I know we've talked about this on previous shows, Brenda. Like I've gotten to the point where I tell myself that I'm too busy to be creative, when in all actuality, creativity is what draws that positivity into our lives. Because when we put out that creativity, we're giving a gift back to the universe. And I mean, I feel like if we are given these gifts, we always need to pay respect to them and keep our creative veins flowing. So even if you feel like you're too busy, like maybe did you say poetry was your creative outlet or writing?
Yeah. I mean, in the business that I'm in, I still have a creative outlet, so I didn't lose much of it.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was going to suggest, like, maybe taking along a notebook with you, because, I mean, that's what I do all the time. Like, if I'm going somewhere and I'm like, you know, just in case, I'll take my notebook with me, just in case I might have a spark of creativity. Because, I know a lot of the time if we ignore that spark, like, we end up losing really amazing ideas, too, so, yeah.
Definitely. You have a side to you that you haven't touched yet, though.
I'm sure that's true.
I'm getting that feeling also.
Yep. And when you touch that side, and you don't have to touch it very much, but when you touch that side, that's when life is going to become very interesting for you, and it's going to become very positive for you. And it depends on how you use it and what you do with it. The outcome will be either way over here or, whoa, that's cool, let's go, let's keep going and go further on.
Right,
so,
okay.
Yeah. You'll know when the time is right because you're going to touch on it. You're going to be like, ooh, do I really want to do that? Yeah, I don't know. There's going to be a little bit of fear, but I can say if you push through that fear, you're going to be amazed. You are totally going to be amazed.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, because that's coming really, really, really close if it's not already presented itself to you.
Great. Looking forward to that.
Yep. So cool. Keep going. If you're climbing the ladder, keep going.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Anything else, Anthony?
Take care. No, that's
thank
all.
you.
I greatly appreciate it.
You are most welcome. You have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. So, wow, that's pretty cool. Right off the bat.
I know, right? It's interesting because all of the different callers had like a similar theme running through each of their different questions, I feel. Most of it had to do with, well, obviously feeling uncertain about something, but, and it's just, like I think it's interesting to note that within uncertainty there's always different signs that we can recognize, and that's how we, I think, resolve those uncertainties, is by recognizing those different signs, those different flags that we recognize.
Mhm. Well, the other thing too with that is when we do come up to those things, is we cannot be afraid. Even though I say that, we always have that initial like.
Mm-hmm.
But if you step back just a little bit, just to hesitate just a little bit and see it for what it is and then go forward, you'll be better off.
Agreed. Definitely. I feel like the way we distinguish it should be realizing that uncertainty isn't there to destroy us. It's there to help guide us onto the right path.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, shall we take a break?
Of course.
All right. Everyone, we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to Universal Journeys. It's anything goes. Welcome back, Donnie.
Welcome back, Brenda. So before we get started on the next segment of our show, I wanted to do a couple quick advertisements. If you guys would like to like Universal Journeys on Facebook, go into the URL bar and type in facebook.com/universaljourneys111. You can also just type it into the search bar on Facebook. Just type in Universal Journeys and you'll be able to find it. We post a lot of uplifting things on our page, and we notify everyone when we're going to do our next show, so definitely like that if you have a chance to. And also my own YouTube channel, youtube.com/Donnie Winter, or if you just type in Donnie Winter in YouTube search, you'll be able to find me. I do a lot of videos about anti-bullying advocacy, LGBTQ rights, nerdy, geeky things, basically everything under the sun in a sarcastic manner. Those are my videos. And so yeah, if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, feel free to. So, Brenda, where were we? Where did we leave off?
Well, we left off with the last caller, and what do you think about these, sororities?
Oh, okay, yes. The fraternities that have been being closed down for different reasons. For those of you who do not know, I think this was a couple weeks ago, there was this video that went viral on YouTube about, featuring this bus full of people a part of, what fraternity? I think it was Sigma, Salon, something. I cannot remember all the Greek letters, but, this group was from University of Oklahoma, and their video went viral, and they were singing this very racially charged songs about African-American people not being a part of their group and never being a part of their group. Like, they were proud of that kind of thing. Well, the university and the national chapter of the group closed down this fraternity, and now they are trying to sue the university because they are trying to claim that they were unfairly charged with this. And recently I just read that fraternity was closed at University of Michigan because they were involved in vandalism in ski resorts in Upper Michigan. And I remember a while back there was another fraternity closed somewhere on the East Coast because there was a lot of different allegations about sexual assault toward women. So lately there has been this question that has risen of whether or not Greek life, fraternities and sororities, should be allowed to continue running. Like, should they be allowed to socially contribute to university life? What do you think about that, Brenda?
Well, first of all, they've been a part of university life since the beginning, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I don't know if they've ever had this in-depth of issues before, but I don't believe that it should be totally, shut down. I believe that they need to control their members. Okay, I do believe that. And yes, there has been certain issues that went on with those particular sororities, but still, there are good things that come out of them as well.
Agreed. And most people don't realize that, when I was in college, I think we all have, these notions that fraternities and sororities are nothing but paying to have friends and, partying. And while this may be true, they still, there are certain chapters that do wonderful charitable work. And I think a lot of it has to do with building that sense of community and giving college students a means to build a sense of community, because a lot of these college students, they're moving from rural areas into cities, and it's very, very difficult to assimilate to that kind of environment. So in that case, I think that sororities and fraternities serve a very, very good purpose. However, this does not, and I repeat, does not give people the reason to be racial, homophobic, or discriminatory in any way. And it really irritates me that this shut down Greek life affiliation in Oklahoma, it irritates me that they're trying to sue the college, the university, because of this. And in my opinion, I'm just like, why? I mean, you guys are the one who posted this video. I'm sure there are some people who may not have been involved, but figure that out. Figure out the people who weren't involved. But to those who were involved, yes, you posted this incredibly disrespectful video, and yes, you're now suffering the consequences for it. You can't get out of it.
You have to police your own people.
You
have to police your own people. In order to do that, you have to do some investigation. So maybe in the long run, you wouldn't have the issues that you have with what went on. That's the way I look at it. Again, with these sororities and fraternities and stuff like that, you have opportunities within them once you get out. And I'm just going to say, because I'm ex-military or former military, is when you get out of the civilian populace, that sorority can help you find different places of employment and so on and so forth. I mean, there are good things that come out of it, but police your people. You got to police them no matter where they're at, because they're all a part of one.
Yep, completely agree. And it's sad to think that there are so many different situations like this, because I've gone to Greek life parties before, back when I was in college. This happened only very few times, and I was met in some of those instances with very homophobic comments. And in my opinion, it makes me ask the question of, are these people taught to act this way by the fraternity or sorority, or do they come into this situation with a learned experience from their previous, home life or whatever. Or simply, are they just doing this because other people are doing it? Because, and from what I hear, Greek life teaches respect and responsibility and dedication, not hatred and discrimination.
Right. And I would think that it would be a little bit of all of it. Because you bring a part of you with you into that. Plus, when you want to get into a sorority, you want to be like them, so you're going to act like them or think like them or think the way you think that they might think.
Right.
So, I mean,
that was quite the sentence, Brenda. You were like, think that they think that they. I was just like, oh my gosh, that is such an awesome tongue twister.
But it came out right?
It totally did. I know, right?
Oh, yeah, it totally did. So, and that's with anything, any society, any sorority. Spirituality is the same way. You have people who are in the spiritual ring of things, and I say ring of things, that we have to please too. It's like, whoa, that doesn't quite go with this. And if you're supposed to be a spiritual, as you say you are, you should not be this, and this, and this, and don't be discriminated against that, because there is another aspect later on in life that you might figure out that was not good for you to do that.
Exactly. And so keep going.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say something else, but go ahead.
I was going to segue into a different subject, so keep going.
Okay, but we have something in the chat room by Jane, and it says, but yes, it does also boil down to people wanting to be like. Yes, I totally agree with that, Jane. I totally agree. People do want to be like. And doing what they think is necessary to try to fit in. Exactly. We do. Society is that way all the way around.
Definitely. So I guess, in a way that answers my original question. I don't think Greek life should be shut down because it has such a significant history in our university, in the lives of our universities. But I do think that something needs to be done to better ensure that this type of discrimination, hate, or sexual assault just doesn't happen, because if one person does it, it ends up ruining the Greek life experience for everyone else, which, and for those people that is sad, because one mistake destroys everything,
Right.
For the other people.
Like the incident that happened up here in northern Michigan at these resorts, there is no call for destruction and destroying, the property of the resort itself. Come on.
Right.
You can still have a good time without tearing things up. That was very, very bad.
Right.
And it's like, really? Come on, guys or gals, whomever was up there. You don't have to destroy property. It's not your property.
Right,
yes,
exactly.
It is another form of bullying too, yeah. And Jane says it's another form of bullying, and it is.
Mm-hmm. Definitely,
because you could go into because you can go in the Skull and Crossbones, and they do things that are not so good, sometimes. But it is, you get back into that sorority because there are some things that come out as good for them.
Right. See, and it's interesting because people who bully feel more powerful when they are bullying with other people. When it's a collective group, yes. And I think that's what makes it especially uncalled for, because it's teaching them, it's kind of teaching each other how to be hateful. And I guess there just needs to be some, I don't know how they would ensure that this doesn't happen, but I think in the upper levels and the national chapters, they need to go through and figure out how they can improve their own, Greek life chapters.
Well, right. And maybe it is going and having etiquette classes or protocol classes or anything like that. It's like, okay, let's teach these guys how to become professional at what they do and how they can do it. And it is about teaching.
Exactly.
Talk about teaching. I have a pet peeve, and it's my pet peeve. It doesn't mean.
Oh, go right ahead.
The children in school now are not being taught cursive writing, and that's a pet peeve of mine.
Mm-hmm. Why is it a pet peeve? Explain that to us, Brenda, dear.
The pet peeve is I work at a financial institution, and we still require people to sign the back of their checks.
Mm-hmm.
We have young people come in, and they don't know how to do that. They're told, we're told by them, oh, we weren't taught that. So what? We don't know how to respond to that, because we're supposed to have them write their name, and every time they're like, we hate doing this, like it's a lost art anymore. Like poetry, it's a lost art.
Mm-hmm. See, I don't understand what makes cursive so difficult. If anything, it makes it easier.
I would think it would, but I think it's.
I mean, I remember I was taught cursive.
Yeah, and maybe because it's going into more of the electronic age or technical age or whatever you want to call it, where they're ticksing all the time. And to me, it's like even that you're getting away from spelling, because it corrects it for you. And it doesn't do the right thing, because it corrected for me the other day, and I wanted to say dessert, and it came out desert.
No.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It gets particularly awkward when it's an inappropriate word, which has happened to me many times.
Yes. Jane continues on. She said, let's see, absolutely right, Donnie. And then she says, diversity classes, just like corporate companies, need to go through it.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Those are some things that need to be taught. Absolutely. Everyone needs it. Mm-hmm. Everyone needs it. We're getting away from so many of the old school stuff. And I'm not saying that I'm all for old school stuff, because I've broken some of those old school teachings myself. But some of them are tried and true, and they were there for a reason. And we just can't throw them to the wayside for something new, something exciting. And it's like the squirrel. When the squirrel runs, you're thinking one thing, and all of a sudden a squirrel runs in front of you, like, oh, squirrel, and you lost what you were doing. I do that too.
Me too. Me too. I think people just need to remember the old things and apply them in new ways.
Mm-hmm. But how do you teach that? How do you
very
teach
good
that?
Question. It's a very good pedagogical question, and a lot of, especially in my field that I'm in, that's something that's really explored a lot. Like I just actually went to a conference on composition in Florida, and there were many different workshops and presentations about including technology in the classroom. And I mean, you have to be very careful though when including technology, because you don't want everyone to become too dependent on the technology, because once that dependence is there, I mean, some students lose the ability to make the effort in general, which is not a good thing. Mm-hmm. So when including it in teaching, when trying to teach people how to do that, it's important to transition to include different facets into schools and into the classroom.
Yep. And then Jane finishes or continues on her thing. She says, schools think that with the use of computers being so prominent in the future, that cursive isn't necessary. I'm still old school with that one. I mean, cursive is a beautiful, beautiful thing if you take the time to learn it. I mean, look at some of the beautiful writings in history. I mean, just like flow and beauty. And I guess it depends on where you're coming from, what perspective you're coming from. I'm an artistic individual, and I love to see that beautiful handwriting, and so, yeah.
Same here.
Yep, and James says here, it is something that schools should be teaching, diversity, etc. Unfortunately, that will probably not happen. And you're right, Jane, that probably won't happen. But it's too bad. It's too bad because we're losing so much for the technology age. That's just.
Agreed.
I mean, it's good. It's good. We're communicating more than we've ever have with each other across the scale, across the globe. But yet we're losing so much as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Is it worth it? Is it worth losing? Tell you the truth, I love my technology, but I'm also realizing that I'm losing some of my writing skill because of it. Because you get the short little blurts, blah, blah, and yeah, so I have to make myself sit down and write.
Right.
Write and write, right? RIGHT, WRIT.
Indeed.
Which I never understood the English language and having so many different there, thou.
So my question for you, Brenda, is if you were a teacher in the classroom and you were trying to balance the difference between technology and the older ways, how would you do it? It's a difficult question, so take some time to think if you need to.
Well, and it is a difficult question. That's almost saying the same thing with spirituality. How do you use technology and also spirituality? Because in a way they don't go hand in hand, in a way they can go hand in hand. So it is a really delicate balance.
It's interesting. It all comes back down to that idea of balance, which we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult balance. To be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, I would really have to sit down and think long and hard of how it could come together. And now, I could tell you on a spiritual plane that technology has helped us out quite a little bit. And this is going to be an interesting twist because it's not the way you think. Technology and having the cell phones or the iPods or, the tablets, stuff like that. For me, I'm going on that energy line, that energy field. I can tune in quicker with typing and stuff like that when I'm connected to someone via the internet. Say, like right now in the chat room, I can connect with who's talking a little bit easier because I'm going on that energy wavelength. Okay, and that's getting out there. I mean, that's a little bit different, and it's like talking to someone on the phone. You're connecting over the airwaves, and that's exactly what we're doing with technology. We're connecting over the airwaves. So I'm reaching people that I never thought that I would reach. Just like here, we're reaching people that we never thought we'd reach, and that's awesome. And we're getting our stuff out there. James says too, it's like, don't get me going, Brenda, on grammar. Oh, that's Jane. Yeah, Jane is pretty good at grammar. And she says, teachers these days aren't allowed to teach outside of what is in the lesson plan, unfortunately. And this is true. I've heard that, too. Teachers can't use that creativity that's normally flow through there. They have to go with a certain lesson plan, which is dumbing our children.
And, the interesting idea about that, because I actually went to a panel about this as well. Like, the secondary schools, like high schools and middle schools and elementary schools, aren't allowed the extra flexibility of creativity because the states are so, regulated based on testing scores that they have to create their lesson plans and assignments based on achieving these testing scores. And I'm the kind of person that firmly believes that testing honestly does nothing other than proving that people can memorize subject matter. It doesn't prove an individual skill. It doesn't help show us that they have an understanding of something. It just proves that they can remember it. And that's actually why I love the English field so much, because like in writing, it gives people more of a chance to provide explanation instead of just like, oh, 2 plus 2 is 4, but it doesn't matter how you got to that answer. It's just 4, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, don't even get me on that subject there about 2 plus 2 is 4 and getting to the answer. The math is crazy now. It doesn't show you how to do this and this and this and, you know, like long drawn out. You could do that now and they would say, oh, no, that's wrong. Just because you got the answer, that's wrong. That's not the way we want you to do it. Hello is the answer.
If I had an applause button, Brenda, I would be pushing it right now.
How about this? Applause.
Yes.
And Jane writes in the chat room again. It's like, yes, the testing scores of a school is a basis for the consideration of the school's funding, which is silly. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And it is that, but the state is what determines that. I don't think that a school's funding should be based on, you know, a testing number. I just don't think that's fair to the students. I don't think it's fair to the teachers. It's purely an administrative thing. And I think that's what definitely limits our classrooms. I mean, but that's my opinion, though. That's my opinion.
But to continue on with that is they also are they're not taking into consideration of how each child understands.
Mm-hmm.
They think that they have to all understand a certain way, and if they don't get it, they fail. Wrong answer.
Exactly.
Okay, I totally disagree with that, because not everyone learns the same.
Exactly.
There are many different ways that an individual learns. Some learn very well with audio, with being heard. They can hear and they got it. Some people learn by seeing and doing, you know, and some people do both, seeing and doing. And some don't have any imagination at all, so they have to see it written out, a diagram on a piece of paper. That doesn't make them stupid or anything else because they don't get it the same way that the curriculum wants or the state wants or whatever. That means that they just don't get it that way. They don't learn that way. So why can't the educational systems of the world, or I should say,
be more accommodating?
Yeah, because, man, we could have some smart people out there. And we do have some smart people out there.
See, the interesting thing is, Brenda, is if you go to other countries, for example, like I know there are many different countries in Europe where they don't charge tuition rates for their students.
Yeah.
And and they don't have like this well-rounded, quote-unquote, education system where they're forced to take a bunch of unnecessary classes that don't benefit them at all whatsoever.
True.
Why not allow them to go to school for their specialty, what they're good at, what they want to do, instead of forcing them to take all of these unnecessary classes that costs them more money and causes more stress and prevents them from pursuing what they actually want to do.
I agree with that. And with that note, hold that thought, because we're going to be back in about 4.5 minutes, okay? We'll be right back after the break. And welcome back to Universal Journeys with your hosts, Reverend Brenda and Donnie Winter. Follow your heart, for only you know which path is right for you. And our topic is anything goes. So you can call in at our call-in number at 347-850-8292. Welcome back, Donnie.
Yay! Welcome back. Okay, so since we were talking about bullying during the last segment, I wanted to take the opportunity to advertise another Facebook page called Affirmations for Bullying Victims. It is a movement that my friend Cindy created, and she appeared on a show a couple shows ago, and I helped co-create it. It helps uplift bullying victims. So if you just go to Facebook and type in affirmations for bullying victims, you should be able to find it. Or if you type in hashtag AFBV. All right, there's my little spiel.
Sweet. Please do so, because there is some great information on there. And to finish up what we were doing, Jane said, let's see, that Donnie, your opinion was right. She agrees with your opinion on the last hour. So,
thank you, Jane.
Saying,
you're awesome.
And she's saying, "Yay, welcome back." So, where do we go from here?
Well, we seem to be on a pretty good clip here when it comes to discussing schools and stuff, because, I mean, we went from talking about aspects of university life to testing in schools. Is there anything other that you would like to rant about regarding schools?
Well, I don't know about rants, but I'm going to rave. Okay.
Okay,
because
raving, excellent.
I'm going to rave here just a little bit, because
like party rave or discussing rave.
No, like saying kudos. Okay, because there's a movement in the school systems now, and I'm pretty sure it's not everywhere, but it is out there in several different places. I know at our local school here, they have what is called Rachel's Challenge. And Rachel's Challenge is helping people who are at those outline or outskirts of society, and I would say society, but schools. They're going in and they're welcoming people who are not normally welcome. They're trying to bring back something. They give back something to people who are either bullied or things like that. And here's one of the things that I received the other day when they came to present in front of the Activism group. And it's a little tag, and it says, "Smile. You've just been tagged. The name of the game is Kindness Tag, and now you're it. Someone reached out to you with an anonymous act of kindness. Now it's your turn to do the same. Do something nice for someone else. Card behind and keep the spirit of kindness going." And on the back is share a smile, brighten someone's day, open a door, listen to with your heart, say hello, carry a load, say thank you, plant a tree, let someone go first, read to a child, give compliments, respect others, spread kindness, have patience, do a favor, forgive mistakes. Excuse me for just a minute. Okay. Show compassion. Talk to someone you've never talked to before. Say please and thank you. Help a neighbor, and use encouraging words. This is starting in our elementary schools here.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know, and it's going forward into the high schools. So this Rachel's Challenge, this is not the first time that we've been told about this. This is something that is going across. I mean, this has been here for several years now, but it's starting to grow. They're doing this to individuals who look like they need a little bit of help. They're recruiting other individuals, and I think it all had to do with the bullying thing that happened several years ago here, and you know about that one.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So,
are you waiting for me to explain that, or?
Well, you can, or you don't have to, but it is very interesting. So,
I actually think that probably was the catalyst that started that. A couple years ago, actually I think it was 3 years ago now, my friend was bullied at our local high school, and the news story went viral. And one of my YouTube videos ended up getting involved, and it kind of went viral too. And it basically threw our community into the limelight as an example of bullying in high school. And And it really upset me to see that bullying still existed to the degree that it does in my school, my former high school, because when I was in high school, I was bullied on a daily basis. And, I mean, I heard vaguely about that, what was it called, Rachel's Challenge? I've heard sort of about it, but I didn't know if it was taking off at all. But it's really nice to hear that something like that is happening, because bullying is an issue, and kids shouldn't have to deal with it.
Right. Yeah, and so, I mean, I think this is one of those that helped us along quite a little bit. And Jane says, "Yay, this program sounds great," and it is great. Mm-hmm. We need to stop those things. And like you said, it went viral. That incident of bullying went viral. It didn't only go viral on the internet. It was in the major news as well, the Today Show and all the rest of that stuff.
Mhm. Yep. It was a roller coaster there for a while.
Yeah. So, and that was quite interesting anyway. So,
right.
It's just fascinating that sometimes good things can come out of bad situations. Doesn't always work that way, but yeah, cool.
Exactly. I was very intrigued by our town's reaction to this situation too. Sorry if my voice sounds weirder now. I'm having like sinus problems and it's getting kind of crazy, but bear with me.
Sure.
When we went to the homecoming football game, I remember that like most of everyone in the community was there to support my friend, and it was very positive, but there were a select few people. Like I remember I was walking past a group of people, and I had an older couple, I'd say like in their late 60s, shout out, "Faggot, it's your fault this happened. It's your fault that our community is being viewed negatively." And I just looked at them, and I was just like, this situation is meant to promote understanding and an understanding of our kids, not to hate the community. So if you're going to be hateful, why are you here, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was just very perplexed by that.
Well, as much as we love some of the old ways is not good either.
Mhm.
And some of that is of old ways, even though it was very prominent in earlier years in a different way. It was always under the wire, in the dark, or behind closed doors, but it's always been there throughout all of society. And it's just, you just don't talk about those things, or you didn't talk about those things, with being gay, but it's always been there. Why do we have to have the fear? And you know what gets me the most? You know what gets me the most about that? People still think that that's a disease, that you can control that you're not born with it, with being gay. And I'm like, are you serious?
Right, exactly.
People are born this way. You can't change that.
People think that the choice lies within choosing to abstain from living that lifestyle. And whenever people pose that question, like, oh, well, you can just abstain from it, can't you? I ask them, could you abstain from being married or for having kids or for being in love with people? Could you honestly abstain from that for the rest of your life? And that's what makes them start thinking, like, oh, wow, that is actually a good point. And then they're like, well no. And I'm like, my point exactly.
Right. And if you did, guess what? So many inner things would start to happen to you that would drive you crazy. You'd be cantankerous. You'd be mean. You'd be ugly. You'd be many, many different things.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think this bullying stuff is to cover up something within them they don't want anybody else to know. And sometimes it is that aspect right there.
Definitely.
I don't want anybody thinking I'm gay, and I am gay, type of deal. It's like, really? Hello?
People get really insecure about that.
Yes. But Jane has mentioned a couple things. She says we can hope things will change in time, and it's people like Donnie that keep the bullying going. And many churchgoers, people think this way. Yes, I agree with that. Many churchgoers, people do think this way. But yet that's changing too. In what I think Jane meant about that Donnie that keeps this bullying going, which is you bring it out there to say, hey, look, this is not cool. We need to change this stuff, and it's just kind of an interesting thing. And with that said, we have a caller. Oh, wait a minute. Jane said there is a video on YouTube that asks straight people, at what point in life did you choose to be straight? Good question. Good question.
That is a very good question.
Look, I've always been that way. What can I say, Good question. So, do you want to bring a caller in?
Yeah, of course.
Sweet. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hello. Thank you for having me today.
You are most welcome. What's your name?
My name is Brittany.
Hi, Brittany. What can we do for you?
Well, I wanted to know if what you see around this relationship situation.
And which relationship situation is that? Because you have many.
Oh, yeah, that's very true. There's a young gentleman.
Okay.
There's a young gentleman that I'm interested in, and I'm just wondering where we are with this, and if this is going to progress forward, or just what you're picking up surrounding it.
Okay. Do you get anything, Donnie? Because I'll let you take this one, and then I'll just fill in as you go.
Immediately when you mentioned this person, I got this feeling that he's still kind of in his shell. And I feel like it's getting to the point where it seems like he's very far in his shell, and that the fact that he hasn't come out of his shell is kind of the thing that's making it frustrating, possibly.
Very much, I agree with that 100%.
And I think it's because you're trying to rush it. Okay, because you're wanting this to develop, but the thing is because you want to develop it quicker than what he is able to do right now. And I say able because I agree with Donnie. He's in his shell, but he's stepped back a little bit because he knows that you want something that at this time he cannot provide for you.
And I think this is another thing that you should consider, because I know I have been in this position before where I have pursued someone that isn't necessarily at my level, in life. And sometimes people need to go through specific things in order to go through that other open door. And I don't think he has gotten to that door yet, but you have already gone past it. So either I would say wait for him to go through that door, or try to find someone in the room that you're already in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. I mean, we have like a really great connection, and I think it's more like a past life situation. And I don't know. I was hoping that it could maybe blossom, and I was willing to be patient with him. But you're so right about finding someone who is there. But I think that I was put into his life to help him spiritually, and vice versa as well. And so I wanted to know, will I ever be able to give that to him, even on a friendship basis?
You already are.
Okay.
I get the feeling that you're having more of an impact than you give yourself credit for.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Some people are not very good at articulating when they're experiencing that impact. I mean, there are just some people who don't communicate that type of thing, and I get this feeling that this individual in question doesn't know how to communicate that at this time in his life because he hasn't gone past that door yet. He hasn't learned how to communicate that sense of appreciation.
Right. And Jane says something. Yeah, and Jane says something in the chat room too. It says he's not sure he's ready to come out of his shell. And you already have, Brittany. Something about you already have, Brittany. You've come out of your shell already. So
exactly.
And that's what I feel too. And males seem to have a little bit slower time of developing than women do or females do. So and I don't, it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
Brittany, another thing that I would like to point out is this is something that's happened to me before, and I know that a lot of other people, especially people who have gone through that door, experience this. When you really have a connection with someone, sometimes you're tempted to step back through that door and exit the new portion of your life that you've entered. So I just make sure that you do not adapt yourself to that person because you are who you are for a reason. Okay?
And a lot of times what we do too is we actually want someone to be something for us that really they can't be because that's just not them. And we read into things as women. We do this very well.
And gays, of course.
Yeah, and we read into things that are really not there. I mean, let him be your best friend or let him be your friend and see where it goes. Instead of, and like I mentioned earlier to one of our other callers, bring back the energy, that neediness energy, that wanting energy. Bring it back, bring it back inside and say, okay, when you do that, you actually allow things to unfold on their own and you're not repelling people because that neediness energy really does repel people from your vicinity and around you.
It's all about developing a balance between pushing away and bringing toward you.
Do you feel like I've pushed him away through my energy?
I'm not necessarily saying that you're pushing him away, but it is keeping him at bay because of that want. You don't have a strong need for that like some people I felt, okay? But it's still, you need to try to allow everything to unfold on its own. The other thing, too, is when you think he's the only one, he may not be. He may only be there for a lesson.
And I do feel that. I definitely feel.
I definitely do not think that you've pushed him away. I don't get that vibe. I really believe that his point in his life, he doesn't understand necessarily what you are providing for him. And sometimes when we are the provider, it gets frustrating for us when that other person doesn't see it. Whether we're providing, consolement or, simply our presence. And I think, and I think that it's important for you to find a person who is at that level to understand and appreciate what you have as an individual and what you can provide, and find someone who can reciprocate the same level of providing that you are putting out there. But it's important to remember, and I think this is where Brenda is, I think this is the point that Brenda's touching on, is to not give to people who don't know how to accept what you're giving.
Wow, that's profound.
Because when they don't know how to accept what you're giving, either they put up a barrier or they completely shut you out. And maybe that's what you're experiencing right now. This person, like, you're giving to them, but they can't give back, or they don't know how to give back. So it's maybe a little intimidating for them.
So yeah, because that energy can be, that for them, that energy can be overwhelming, and they don't even know what it is. And you may not be overwhelming, but for them it is.
I think that's exactly what's happening. You guys are so on point. So I'm just going to back away and then, like you said, allow things to unfold as they should.
Yep. And the thing is, if they don't unfold with him the way you intended, don't get discouraged, because remember, you've walked through that door. There's going to be someone else in that room that gravitates to you. Because I really, just from talking to you, I get this feeling that you're a very vibrant type of person that people gravitate toward. So you shouldn't have to worry about attracting different people. And I firmly believe that you will. And maybe in the future, if this person walks through that same door, they'll come to understand this providing that you are providing.
True. And we have a couple comments in the chat room, too. And Jane says, as a woman, we want things with a man to be a certain way, and oftentimes it's before the man is ready. And that goes right back to what we've talked about. And then Dream Master 1, they say it's a two-way street. And I have to agree with that. It is a two-way street. You know, like Donnie said, it has to be reciprocated. And when you connect with that right one, that equality is so awesome. Because I've had it before. That equality is so awesome that you know you're right there. That individual is right there. And don't give up hope, because that individual is there for you. But I see him, if you're sitting here looking, or if I'm looking at you, if you see me looking at you, if I put my right arm back behind my shoulder or out behind my shoulder, he's back there. He's coming in. But he's got to do his work, and you have to do your work in order for that to come together. And you both are working on it. So don't be discouraged, because this one may not be the one, but there is the one that's coming up. So it's just going to take a little while. You just got to keep working on yourself. And once you start working on yourself even more, and you get to the point to where you guys are at equal levels, then guess what? Woo! You're going to come together.
And I want to make a brief comment in response, or in conjunction with Jane's comment in the chat room about as women we want things with man to be a certain way, but oftentimes it's before he's ready. And I just wanted to clarify that this can happen with men as well, because I've dated both men and women, and we all, despite gender, we all want the partner to be who we want them to be, or we have certain expectations that we place on them. And if you find yourself being very disappointed, that's because they don't know how to fulfill those expectations. The moment you know it'll be right is when those expectations either cease to exist, or the person fulfills them without you even placing that expectation out there.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's so true. I just know where I am spiritually and mentally, and I just, don't want to take 2 steps back when I'm doing so well moving forward. So
just keep going forward. Keep going forward.
Exactly.
Keep being open.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you, ladies. You're awesome. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Awesome. So, Brittany, do you want to stay in the line, or just...
Sure, I'll stay in the line.
Okay, so let me put you on mute, and then one more thing that says, see, it's not trying to change another, it's understanding and appreciating them. I have to agree with that, too. That was Dream Master that also mentioned that. So it is understanding, and it's appreciating. Perfect.
Definitely.
So, okay, I'm going to put you on mute. There you go. So, sweet. This is awesome.
I know, that was excellent. That was excellent.
Yeah. and that goes right along with everything else that we've been talking about. And it is about accepting one another for who they are and what they do and what they bring to any type of relationship.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You go first.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
When we were talking with Brittany about that experience, I discovered that, like in gay relationships especially, like I've always attracted that person who has been like that broken down person who is like, it seems like they're 5 light years behind me in steps, and I've always been the one that, tries to go back and, retrieve them and help them bring them forward, and discover that, when I do that, that completely destroys the identity that I had forged. And it makes me fall apart. It destroys my foundation. And I think that's a huge, huge thing that a lot of people do but don't realize. We cannot destroy our foundation to bolster someone else's. They have to pick up their pieces on their own.
And I agree with that, too, because I remember losing my identity, and I think I mentioned that on one of the other shows, is I'm a people pleaser. At least I used to be a people pleaser. And so I would change myself to accommodate the individual who says, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to change here, you need to change there. So I would do that to please them. And then I went into the service, and I met someone, and I changed to be the way that he wanted me to be, and that was for 13 years. Then when we were divorced, I lost who I was because he was no longer there. He was my identity. So I had to figure out who the heck I was, number one, because I had been trying to, be someone else that I wasn't, not on purpose, but it just happened. So I had to figure this all out. And then when I thought I had a handle on it, then boom, somebody else came into my life, and there I go again, trying to change for that individual. And I was terrible. I was miserable. I wasn't happy, and I was trying to make him happy, and there was no way to make him happy. And then I realized that, well, the only way that I'm going to be happy is if I make my own self happy. Did I make him upset? Did I make him upset when I started to take back my? You betcha I was. But I had to work through it. I had to push through it. And once I did that, I started to gain who I was back again. And I even got better because I realized that there was more about me that I didn't realize that was about me before that.
Exactly. Then you were there with me when I went through that experience a couple of years ago, and you saw it unfold right before your eyes, and it's definitely true.
Yep, and we had many discussions on what was going on and things like that, and then of course you took it in advisement and you made it your own. You did what you needed to do, and that was you. And the other major thing about all of this stuff is you have to take responsibility for your own actions.
Exactly.
That is the most important thing.
And I think also people need to realize that this isn't just limited to like a romantic interest. This could involve like a family relationship, a friendship, because I know I've had some friendships where I have completely changed myself for that person, and when I didn't live up to their expectations for the person they wanted me to be, I was treated horribly because of it. And I discovered that there's more to a friendship than simply being the person the other individual wants. And if that person can't accept you for who you are, then they themselves aren't ready for that level of a friendship in the first place. Right,
exactly. Dream Master put something in here. It says, it's the energy we put on others as well. Be awareful of the energy you project upon others. And that's really true. Is what type of energy do we project onto other people? Because we do. because we don't think about energy in itself. We do project energy onto other people. And there are times when I'm like, ooh, got to back up here a little bit. But you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of what you're doing. That goes back to responsibility again.
Mhm.
I
can use that same friendship that I was referring to that I mentioned. I projected to this person that I wanted to change who I was and that I wanted to live up to her expectations, and I think she picked up on that, and that's when it started. When people pick up on that type of desire, and if we don't keep in check, or if we don't put our foot down, people like that will just keep sucking you away slowly until you are completely a different person.
I mean, I just had a recent incident with a friend of mine too, where just that right there is about your energy and about projecting it on someone else. And through that whole friendship process, there were things within me that I was monitoring throughout this whole thing. And finally it says, I come to a point where, okay, I know he was feeling this, but I didn't know how to stop it within me. And then one day there was like this light bulb that went on, and aha, and he felt it and I felt it, and it's like, okay, now we are separate, but yet we're still friends. In the dynamic of it is different, and that is that energy that was put out there, vice versa, no matter who it was, or him or me or whatever, but it's an equalness now. It's a total equalness, and this goes back to when you are becoming, or you are a student-teacher type of thing as well. Because you have that. If you have this, okay, I am the teacher, I'm going to teach you, you got that, you have that bond that goes back and forth, and then when the student graduates, which does happen every once in a while, more often than not, I guess. But this was my first case with a student, is he graduated, and it was like, wow, this is cool. I love this, because now you can go out and be a teacher, and now I'm going to be me. And there was this process of loss. So it's the grieving process, but also inside, not only was it the grieving process, but it was also very, very happy for him graduating.
Exactly.
You still got that energy going on. So even teachers, students, we have to be aware of that as well. And that was my first experience with that, because he was my first student that graduated. The other ones couldn't make it. They fell away to the wayside. They couldn't handle that, but he was the first one, and you're feeling very excited, but you're also feeling the sorrow as well. So, and then Dream Master says, energy vampires, I have zero time for them. I can and will tolerate so much, then the cord is broken, per se. Too bad, too sad, and next. And I agree with that. You really have to watch out for energy vampires, too. And my way of seeing or finding out energy vampires is they have so much drama. Whoa this, whoa that. And they ask a lot of questions, too. They're always wanting to be near you, and then you can always tell, because when you leave them, you're drained. You're wondering, what the heck? What the heck am I drained? Why am I drained? I shouldn't be.
I noticed a big thing with energy vampires is the fact that they guilt trip. Guilt tripping is, and then I'm the kind of person that, like, in the past, I have fallen victim to guilt trips because I am a very gullible person, and I always want to make people happy. And when a person realizes that, oh, do they capitalize on it? Like, it's a jackpot.
Yep. And Dream Master puts out there, drama, drama, drama. It's all about you, never anything about them. Yeah, because they don't look at it as them. And it really is them that's putting that energy out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they play the blame game. Oh my gosh, are you channeling someone there, Dream Master, that the blame game? Yeah. But anyhow. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
somebody,
like, and there's always going to be a person like that waiting for the perfect moment to lash out, to disrupt the water. And like, I've just gotten to the point where I've gotten much better at pinpointing who those people are. And whenever that happens, I just put up a wall. I'm just like, okay, I'm in my little bubble of no drama. Please do not permeate my bubble, or you will get slapped.
And there's been times on an energetic level that I literally had to take my hand and put it real close to my body and push him away, really fast. And that's exactly what happens. Like, okay, I can't deal with that stuff.
What I do,
sometimes,
No, you go first, hon.
So I'm going to say, sometimes what I do is I have to literally tune them out in order to stop the energy and the flow and everything else. Okay, I'm just, kind of maybe withdraw a little bit with inside of me, and they wonder, oh, what's going on? Are you okay? Like, yeah, I'm okay. Just leave me alone. I don't say it that way, but that's what I feel like saying. So it's like, whoop, nope, stop right there. You can have your drama. You can be a kid. You can be like a teenage girl that blah, 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 blah against one another or whatever. It's like, I'm not getting into that.
And another, I have I don't get angry very often. Like, I'm a very level-headed person, but there is a line that I draw. And when a person like that crosses the line, I pop that bubble that I keep around me. And the force of that popping bubble knocks them back a bit. And they're like, oh, okay. Okay, then I guess I will just, sometimes you just got to pop the bubble. Sometimes you just have to let them know. Sometimes you just have to let them know that you will not put up with that, and I'm going to be completely honest, bullshit.
Right. Well, and that goes back to forgiveness, because when we do that, oh my gosh, don't we feel guilty for doing it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
At times we feel guilty for doing it, but we have to forgive ourselves, because really in those type of situations, we are protecting ourselves. Stop. Because they don't stop unless you do something drastic like that. So, and Dream Master says, I am comfortable with your energies here. Well, thank you, Dream Master.
We appreciate
that's what
that.
We try in our beingness. So thank you. We appreciate that. It's kind of where we want to be. And so these are all great things, the spirituality and coming together with one another. But we do have to learn respect at many different levels. And people are just now learning that. We're just now learning that. Some may never learn it. But with our help, we can teach. But we also, and I got a lot of buts here, but we also need to realize that only we can only go so far, because I know there's energy vampires out there. I have them around me all the time. And one in particular who was in California is like, every time that he contacts me, is like, got to put that barrier up there, because you know what he's wanting. He's wanting information, and he's wanting to grab. And it's like, no, you can do this yourself. And that's part of my teaching, is we have to teach you how to do it yourself. Think for yourself. You don't need anybody else's help. You can do this. You just have to think about it before you react.
Definitely.
And Dream Master also says in the chat room, humans are learning. Yes, humans are learning, and we're learning right along with them. So,
and people not only need to learn, but they need to learn to adapt what they learn to their lives. See, there's a line between seeing something and processing something.
The other thing, too, is I've noticed that people, they don't think, they just blurt. If there's a thought in their mind, they blurt it out. And it's like, if you really think about it just a little bit before you blurt it out there, you realize that you've already answered your own question, basically. Or just think about it a little bit, and you'll understand before you blurt it out. Dream Master also put down here is, we are coming into our remembrance of our multidimensionality. Again, short words. And I agree with that, Dream Master. We are starting to remember who we are on multiple levels, on multiple dimensions. And I think that's awesome. And it's one step at a time. We're doing it one step at a time, sometimes a little bit too slow for some, but yet we have to allow people to come into their own. And we are. It's awesome stuff.
Definitely. I agree.
So it's just, I can't express enough what the energies, baby steps. Yep, he says baby steps. Jane says, yes, some people have no filters. And that's true. Some people have no filters. And that's a tough one when they don't. And it's like, whoop,
right.
And that's when we have a gentle reminder. Sometimes you might want to think before you just blurt it out there. You know, just because the thought's in the brain doesn't mean you have to blurt it out.
Exactly.
So, and then sometimes if you're doing psychic readings, sometimes the best thing to do is blurt it out. So, I mean, you have a balance there. That balance is quite interesting in itself. Because that's what, you know, that's what I was taught going through classes. It's like, okay, with psychic information, especially when you're doing a reading, you have to blurt it out because you can't filter it because then it's not theirs. And I know I've mentioned that several times to you too with that.
Oh, I know, definitely. Well, I was thinking about Brittany, the caller that we had a few minutes ago that asked that question, and this kind of, I'm going to try to combine this with the whole energy vampire thing you were just talking about. The person that is the energy vampire will ask us to hold the door open for them. Comes to, you know, stepping through the different rooms of life. And we'll stand there and we'll hold the door open, but they won't come through it. But they're still expecting us to do so. And it's preventing us from going onward and doing what we need to do. It's important to remember that we cannot hold that door. We may have to let it shut in their face. It's only them that can choose to go through it.
Right. It goes back to an old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Exactly.
That's just the way it is. Dream Master says, yeah, love your energies, high vibrational. I kind of feel energy. Yes, you do. I knew that from the first time that you came on there, Dream Master. Ooh.
We love you, Dream Master.
Yes, we do. So, yeah, and this is a tough lesson to learn, too, with when you're helping people, you have to know when to cut. You have to know when to cut that energy, when to cut those ties. Because after a while, they're going to drain you and pull you back into where they're at. And this is with drama, too. I mean, it goes hand in hand, is you have to learn to cut. You may not want to cut, but you have to. And then that's self-preservation.
Self-preservation. And I think when a person gets to the point in life, because I know I've been at that point where I'm like, oh, I know how to completely deal with that, and something ends up happening, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how to deal with that. Don't go into situations like that where you think that you completely know how to deal with people that way, because people that way will manifest in many different ways. Just be open. Don't beat yourself up if you let that person get to you. Just adapt to the situation in the time and manner that you can.
Right. Or if you even go into it and when you get to a certain point, okay, what do I need to learn from this situation? And sometimes what you have to learn is to break free. It's like, okay, this is my lesson, I got to let go.
And if you boggle yourself down with the self-doubt of allowing the situation or the person to get to you, you're clouding your judgment. You are putting up a shield in front of that door you should be walking through, or you're just standing in the doorway.
Right. And the clouding the judgment, what they're doing is taking away your confidence. I remember, and I could give you an example of this too, is when I first started out on this journey and I was getting information for people, and my first step into doing professional readings, I had 2 readers that day. The first one came in and I was getting information and she was saying, no. She wanted to know more about her children than her, but I was getting stuff for her, and she poo-pooed everything that I said. My confidence went right down the drain. I was rock bottom, like, what? I'm not getting this information? I thought I could do this. So what I did, and I still have the rock with me, or the crystal with me, is I went over and got an angel light and didn't even know. I was just drawn to it. I got an angel light, and I set it on my table. And then so I was like, okay, I'm trying to work with the energies and get my confidence back up there. And the next person that came in, I sit down, I explained what I saw, and at the end of the reading, she got up, she pointed at me, and she said, she knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's doing. She's great, I was like, so it built my confidence back up. So you went way down here and way up there. I mean, it's like, but sometimes people don't want to hear about their own stuff. And don't let that bother you. And then I've had other people like, they're, I don't get any of that. A couple years later, I had this woman that come back who had said, no, that doesn't sound right. No, said, you know what you told me? You told me that was exactly what happened. I'm like, yes, thank you for the confirmation.
Epic win for Brenda.
Yeah, so I mean, it's the confidence thing. And Dream Master actually said some things as, there are ones that mention I hold no emotion, I'm just selective. I'm just a bit stoic, okay? And it says, when I read, it's straight up, no candy coating otherwise. I have to agree that you candy coat. I mean, you can play a little bit, okay? And I don't mean by play, but there are certain aspects that you do have to bring across that's not going to be too harsh. Some people you have to know. If it has to be that way, that's how you have to do it. If another individual can get it a different way, you have to learn how to do that. But it's just that balance. You have to learn that. And going through many of these different situations will help you to understand. But never give up hope. Just because someone says, oh, no, that's not right, does not mean that is not right. Because it could be very right. And they're saying, no. The other thing you have to be wary about is when you're in front of someone and you're getting information, don't look at their body language, because they can totally throw you off with their body language.
Definitely.
So you have to be very aware of the different energies. I mean, you can look at their body language, because I do, but I also got burned a couple times by that, so you learn to balance what you're receiving in the body language. Serious.
That's an excellent
it does
point.
You can do stuff, yeah. And then Dream Master says, I'll give them what they can handle at the time. I'm wareful of their energy. Humans can and are delicate for the most part. Yes, they are. We have another caller. Let's call this caller in, okay?
Okay.
Hello, caller, and welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Who is this?
You guys both know me. This is Lou.
Oh,
hi, Lou.
Hello, Dad.
I heard you guys talking about this, and I always figured negative people bring more negativity back on you. And if you stay with the positive people, your life's going to be a whole lot easier. I don't know what you guys think about that, but
surrounding yourself with positive people as opposed to negative people, yes. I completely agree with that.
I agree, too.
I worked with one guy, he could have the greatest day going into work, and within 15 minutes, he had you right down the toilet. And your whole rest of your day was like that. And I just, for myself, I'm like, I'm not going to hang around negative people. I'd rather hang around the people that's more positive, outgoing, and they got a better outlook on life instead of everything's going to come to the end.
Mhm.
But that's all I had to say. I just didn't know what you guys thought about that.
What do you think, Brenda? Brenda?
You there?
I don't know. I think Brenda may have gotten booted off accidentally.
Okay. Well, I'll let you talk about it, Don. And
oh, yep, it looks. I think she may have gotten booted off. Anyway, I will continue.
Okay.
I definitely agree with that. I think it's very important to surround yourself with people who have a positive impact on you. And I'm sure Brenda would definitely agree with me on that one.
It just negative people bring negativity back onto you, and it's just, to me, it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you feel worse and like you can't do anything, and they're always hounding on you, and that you're you can be a loser, but you're really not.
Exactly.
But
definitely.
But all right, I'll let you go then. You guys can talk about it then.
All right. Thank you for the contribution. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's a very good point. That's a very good point that he just made, the fact that we need to surround ourselves with positive people in order to create positivity in our own lives. Brenda, are you back?
I'm back. I don't know what happened. It was like I got kicked off, and my phone went like, boop. I'm like, whoa.
Oops. It happens. Happens to me all the time.
Yeah. So I agree. Being around negative people, it really is not a good thing. Sometimes, though, we have to be because of whatever reason. So.
Mhm. Definitely.
Yep. So yeah, I was like, whoop. So I came back and we had like a couple minutes left, or less than a minute left.
Yeah, we have like only a minute left. So yeah, everyone, if you would like, definitely go like our Facebook page, Universal Journeys, and definitely stay tuned for our next show as well. What is our next show, Brenda?
I have no idea.
Well, feel free to join us because we're going to make it interesting, right?
Yes, we do. We're crazy people, so hey, you guys can be crazy with us.
Crazy, awesome people.
Yeah, yes, we are. But anyhow, thank you guys for being here. And always remember, follow your heart, for only you know which path is right for you. Have a great day, guys. We love you, and keep going.